The aisle.
CNN, juror number 1. I know you said in your statement that you meticulously all went through the evidence and that sort of thing, but what stands out in your mind as the most important thing that swayed you, that made you feel it was that you had to vote not guilty in this case?
I can't really point to any one specific item right now. There were tons of evidence to consider, and to pick one item out is really difficult. And I would just say that we considered all of the evidence, and of course, since it's a criminal trial, it had to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And in looking at all of the evidence and not just one specific item, that's the conclusion we arrived at. And I think we really worked hard and were very careful in making that decision.
Any testimony, though, that just stood out in your mind that kind of, in your own head, you thought, well, this isn't right. I just can't. As
I sit here right now, I can't point to anything specific.
I'm still going to tell you that not any one piece stood out than any. We considered everything, and I know that every person here sitting here can tell you the exact same thing. They considered every piece as extremely.
When the mother, Janet Arvizo, looked at you and said, "It's burned right here in my brain," I can tell you the media kind of laughed. Could I just ask your reaction when you heard, the comment from the mother, when she looked at you directly and talked to you?
Fine. I disliked it intensely when she snapped her fingers at us. That's when I thought, don't snap your fingers at me, lady.
It's been a very intense 4 months. A lot of charges and countercharges, lies. It's very important to both parties, so it's not something that was easy to decide and work with. And then because it is a high profile and so many people are concerned with what the jurors think, that I just think it's going to take a long time to get this out of our system.
Start with number 2. The thought was definitely there. You couldn't help but wonder many times just the way things on the timeline and things just didn't add up. So yes, the thought was there several times.
Burned in here. And one other thing, too, I guess the mother, when she looked at me and snapped her fingers a few times, and she says, "You know how our culture is," and winks at me, I thought, no, that's not the way our culture is.
The only thing I have to say about the Arvizo family is, I felt that there was enough reasonable doubt there.
We feel sorry. I personally
feel that, I don't know, as a mother, to the values and stuff that she has taught them and they've learned, and that is really hard for me to comprehend, because I wouldn't want any of my children to lie for their own gain. I don't know, it's hard. It's hard.
But I wrote to the point where I can hardly use my thumb. I'm very proud of everyone here. We took notes so well that we could develop the timeline on the boards and really analyze it. So it was a question. The timeline was a concern.
I was just going to comment on Michael Jackson's demeanor, and from my perspective, where I sat as a juror, I couldn't really see Michael Jackson that much of the time, and even if I had been able to, I probably discounted the fact that he was even in the room for 90% of the time. It was a case where you focus on the witness, you focus on the evidence, and whether it was Michael Jackson sitting there or somebody else, it didn't really affect me much while we were in the courtroom.
I felt like we were really left in the dark about some things, and questions weren't answered, but we had to make do with what we had and the evidence that was given to us, and we did it.
We expected probably better evidence, something that was a little more convincing, and it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there.
There was times when some things would be brought up, and I'm speaking personally for myself, that present certain evidence, and you think, okay, come on, give us a little bit more, and we'll go with you on this one, or we'll think about this. But then they'd cut it off, and you think, okay, now what? Somebody else going to present this later? Sometimes that wouldn't happen.
In a case like this, you're hoping that maybe you can find a smoking gun or something that you can grab onto that says absolutely one way or another. And in this case, we had difficulty in finding that. So by the law, you can only rule in one direction.
Comment. We had 98 pages of instructions, and we referred to them quite diligently, and we kept going back to it. You know, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt.
We actually challenged one another in the deliberation room. I mean, it wasn't, I don't want to give the impression that this was a really slam dunk deal where you just go in to a room and 12 people agree. I don't think 12 people can agree on anything except that the sun might come up tomorrow morning. And beyond that, you got to talk about it. And we did talk about it. We challenged the issues, and we came to the decision that pointed to reasonable doubt. Didn't believe we'd be finished today.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody did. There was still a lot of ground to cover, but I think once we understood all the evidence and we talked it out, that it was clear what we had to do.
I'm just so happy and thrilled to be a part of 12 and or 20 people that were really open-minded and willing to look at all the evidence. And my hope is that the world has confidence in us because we took this as seriously as we've taken anything in our life.
Thank you.